All right, so we just finished Theta Purdue's Cherokee Women in my class, and I initially, this is just going to be kind of a conclusion, a review, my thoughts. Um, Originally, I really thought that this book would be interesting, which it was, and I guess it's kind of dumb to say, but I didn't think that the issue um, of gender would be such an important thing here, but it's literally entitled Cherokee Women. So, I should have read more clearly between the lines. But what just kind of shocked me is like that this book, almost every chapter introduces some different form of thought that threatens the roles of these women. And um and at the beginning of every chapter, it's like, well, they started to change because of this, but then at the end of every chapter, it was pretty much the same. Like, while it might not have been the same, they didn't change their ways, and they're still stuck to what they believed and how they practiced for the most part, which I thought was very cool and very interesting to see. The concept of Indigenous women in general, I think, is very overlooked. Um, I've taken other Indigenous classes, even here at USD, and they've been taught by professors like Gary Cheeseman and wonderful men. He's a great guy. But, since he was a guy, it was more so focused on his life and his experience. And you kind of, especially in pop culture, you kind of read and hear about those names that are recorded in history according to the white man, like Sitting Bull and the Battle of Little Bighorn and Greasy Grass and Crazy Horse and all these influential warlike men in Red Cloud, but you don't ever hear as much about the women, which is very interesting to read about. I thought it was a great read academically, and it went pretty smooth, and it's correctly edited and just well put together. It got me asking more questions than I would have originally thought it would. And what's really cool is I'm taking at least 2 other history classes right now that are pretty much like asynchronous with this time period. So it's very interesting to bring in different thoughts from different tribes, like the Crow or the Sioux, the Lakota, and also, like, European thought. We're studying a play about gender inequality even in white culture, in the society of the colonizers. So it's just interesting that this issue is so self-evident. Even today, this is something that gender inequality still is something so pervasive and so constant in our society. And it's crazy because they were dealing with the same things. This is in its own culture, but the idea of man and woman and the roles that each should play has been a huge thing historically. So in conclusion, this book was a great read. I'd recommend it. It gave me a lot of insight and a lot of information on especially the roles of women and things I never knew or understood or would have ever found out. So